So first, I wanted to thank For the People for always keeping us well fed. Thank you, Chef Sawyer. I was at a Rapid and Just Climate Action meeting earlier today where they got us fabulous food as well. So thank you for always feeding us. And I also wanted to thank you for giving me the space to speak here tonight. I find that at a lot of events, the youth voice is often left out of speakers, and so I wanted to say thank you and that I'm here representing other youth tonight in our movement. And I wanted to ask quickly if you could raise your hand if you're under the age of 30. Okay, yes. I find that exciting because I also think it's really rare to have events like this that are intergenerational. Typically, it's either I'm alone in a space with all older people or I'm alone with all younger people, and it's exciting to see everybody here together around For the People. So Zarna already introduced me and what I kind of do. So I'm with Our Climate, and we mobilize young people for bold, equitable climate policy action. And when I first got involved with For the People, I met Derek at a summit that we hosted where over 80 people who were young from across the state came together to have workshops to learn about climate policy and how we can mobilize our communities. And he hosted a workshop on climate justice, and then ever since then, I've kind of been collaborating with them, inviting them to all of our events because we always get the best feedback whenever they are a part of our events. And so Zarna also mentioned that they were at our Youth Lobby Day last year, presented at our Youth Climate Justice Summit event this summer. And since working with them, we've actually updated our curriculum so that we had Derek host a webinar the other day about systems of oppression and climate justice that now any person who goes through our fellowship across the country goes through that curriculum so that anybody leaving our program leaves with an understanding of systems of oppression. Yeah, thank you. So something powerful that happened at our Climate Justice Summit this summer that some of you were at was Zarna and Derek both gave workshops about patriarchy, systems of power, oppression, racism. And at the end of the summit that was attended by about 20 young people from across the state, we did an activity where we asked everybody to give us their favorite parts of the summit and then their least favorite parts of the summit. And multiple students said that their favorite part of the summit was just being able to be in a space together with other young people where their voices were being respected and heard, their hopes and fears they were able to share with each other without adults speaking over them and talking down to them. And Zarna and Derek were adult allies that were in that space that made our youth feel comfortable speaking openly. And when we asked what their least favorite part of the summit was, I was nervous to hear some critical feedback, but most of the feedback was that they were really sad that they had never learned in their public schools before about what they were learning from Derek and Zarna's workshops. They felt really empowered in that space, and the workshops about privilege and patriarchy and racism and how they impact our daily lives and how we can dismantle those systems, they really felt like that is critical, that everybody should be learning that in public schools. But those lessons are viewed as far too radical to be taught in our schools, but they're necessary for our youth to understand how the world works and how we can work to improve it. I also wanted to mention that I spent the last week on college campuses getting students registered to vote, printing their ballots out, which we can do in Washington. A lot of young people don't know that. And so a lot of students felt really apathetic about voting when I spoke with them, and I think that that's fair given that we've seen the failure of our democracy quite a bit in our lifetimes. We've repeatedly been shown that we are not taken seriously, so we're bound to feel unheard, powerless, and apathetic. But for the first time in history, voters under 25 are officially the largest voting bloc in our country. And So we're at a point now where we have the power to elect people who represent our ideals. We have the power to get rid of the bigots that fill our government. And we're a credible threat now, whereas politicians used to think that they could just ignore our voices. And even outside of voting, even outside of working within the system, youth have shown their power in really incredible ways over the last year through hosting strikes, walkouts, direct action, and from divesting from corporations that profit from the fossil fuel industry. Youth have always been dismissed as too radical, idealistic, and unrealistic when we speak out against sexism, racism, classism, transphobia. We're told that we're too sensitive and that we're being dramatic. When we demand a world with no fossil fuels and a just transition to a clean energy economy, we're told by our politicians, economists, and even our own parents sometimes that it isn't feasible and that it's impossible. But youth know that the only thing that is impossible is a livable future if we don't act now. But in order for youth to make a change, we have to feel like it's possible to do so. And that's why our programs really focus on empowering youth to understand the power that they have. And For the People has played a really critical role in that. So I wanted to just thank For the People for being our allies, for educating us, consistently showing up and giving space to youth, and for standing in solidarity with us. Thank you for building relationships with us that are real and not just transactional. A lot of nonprofits that I have worked with have diversity, equity, and inclusion statements and plans that are really convenient to store away on their Google Drive and then only visit them when they have to write a grant. But For the People really walks the walk through their programs and their teachings and their relationships with people they work with. So I just wanted to give a huge thank you to For the People for letting youth lead the way when it's needed and always supporting us. Thank you.